ਹੁਣ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਸ਼ਾਮਿਲ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਖਾਸ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਲੋਕਲ ਸਿਆਸਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਧਮਾਕਾ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹੂੰਗਾ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਇੱਕ ਵੱਡੀ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਕਾਨਫਰੰਸ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂਆਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਨੀ ਸਿਮਸ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਨੀ ਸਿਮਸ ਜੀ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਉੱਥੇ ਸੀ ਔਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬਾਅਦ 'ਚ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਾ ਕਿ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਜਸਵਿੰਦਰ ਦਿਲਾਵਰੀ ਜੀ ਵੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਗਏ ਹੋਏ ਸੀ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਇਟਸ ਆਲਵੇਜ਼ ਬੈਟਰ ਟੂ ਲਿਸਨ ਫਰੋਮ ਹਾਰਸਸ ਮਾਊਥ ਕਿ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਹੈ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਕਿਉਂ ਆਖਿਰਕਾਰ ਇਸ ਸਲੇਟ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਜਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਸਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਕਾਉਂਸਲਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੇ ਵੋਟਿੰਗ ਪਰਸੈਂਟੇਜ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਰਿਸੀਵ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਕਿਉਂ ਮੇਅਰਲ ਸ਼ਿਪ ਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਾਮ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਲਿੰਡਾ ਐਨੀਸ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੌਜੂਦ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਗੁੱਡ ਮਾਰਨਿੰਗ ਲਿੰਡਾ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਸੋ ਮਚ ਫॉर ਜੁਆਇਨਿੰਗ
Thank you so much for having me here today.
Ginny gave all the information, but we want to know more information. If you can share some of that information, that what motivates you or what brings you to go for this mayoralship, fight so early. Give us some idea.
Well, first of all, thank you again for having me here today. And I've been inspired since I was elected 8 years ago. This certainly wasn't something I had planned to do, but the more I'm out in the community and the more I talk to the residents, I think it's time for a change in government. Not much has been done over the past 4 years. We've been singularly focused on the police transition. That issue is behind us now, and we need to move forward. And I've declared my candidacy early because I want to be out talking to the residents and citizens of Surrey as much as I possibly can to hear what their concerns are and to know that I'm there to support them.
Jenny ji, would you like to?
Linda, I was there yesterday. So what the voters want to know primarily right now, the number one concern of theirs is public safety. And you mentioned that you want to move beyond the transitioning of the police onto other things. So what do you bring to the table when it comes to addressing public safety right here in Surrey, which is really, really critical when we think of extortions, shootings, and what we see on our streets?
Everybody in Surrey has the right to feel safe. And quite frankly, right now, people don't feel safe, as you've pointed out. Things that I would like to see moving forward, first and foremost, I would like to see a centre of police excellence for training here. The JI is under capacity. None of the jurisdictions throughout the Metro Vancouver area have the capacity through the JI to be able to get enough police officers trained. We need to be doing that, and I think there's no better place than here in Surrey so that our officers can learn the latest and be as highly skilled as possible. We also do need more police officers. Forgetting about the transition, when you look at the number of police officers, for example, in Vancouver, there's about 1,400, and in Surrey, there's 800. Clearly, that's not enough. We also need to be looking at early education for our children and our families. Kids as young as 14 years old are getting recruited into gangs, and we need to be able to provide better activities for kids so that they're not getting led astray. For example, what I would love to see is all of our recreation facilities open to kids free of charge so that after school they've got a good place to go if their parents are working rather than the kids being left to their own devices.
Linda, everybody wants to have this kind of, feeling which you shared, but how will you ensure that all these, things which you are claiming are going to be on board?
Well, I think it's absolutely critical that we do this. And I think something else, and speaking about extortion, if I may, just for a moment, people need to report. The police can't do it alone. One of the things that's happening, I hear in the community, people are afraid, and so they should be. They get a call from, someone to extort money from them, and they don't know what to do, and they're fearful of the police. They should be calling an organization called Crime Stoppers, which full disclosure, I'm the executive director there, and they can leave information anonymously. We need to get as much information as possible about who these perpetrators are. And I would say, once they're arrested, if they're not Canadian citizens, they need to go back from where they came from. We also need to change, and I think certainly this is not a city issue, but we need to be advocating much louder about changing in some of our criminal code so that people that are doing these horrific crimes are put in jail and stay there for a long while.
But Linda, this is just a statement. The things you are saying, it's just a statement, nothing more. Because you cannot change the criminal code of Canada as a mayor. You can write to the government. That's all you can do. But how do you evaluate the Surrey Police Service working and the accountability of Surrey Police Board when we have shooting, stabbing, groping cases every now and then? And you said that public should come forward and give the reports of extortion and all that stuff. How many arrests have been made in the extortion cases in Surrey by the Surrey police? I think they seems like one of the incompetent police service of this country.
Well, I'd like to just unpack a little bit what you've said. First and foremost, to talking about changes in criminal code. Absolutely not. City council cannot do that, but our voices need to be much louder. We have a serious problem here, and if we're not holding our MLAs and MPs accountable for this, it's an issue. So first and foremost, we need to have a louder voice. The other piece that I would say about the extortion piece, it's not just the Surrey Police Service. This is a national issue we have, and it's a problem in Surrey. The RCMP have a special task force that's dealing with this, as well as
Linda,
the Surrey
Edmonton Police,
Service.
Edmonton Police, Peel Region Police, they have shown the result, but there is no result from Surrey Police Service, and I'm surprised why you are asking for the holding MLAs and MPs accountable, but why you are not holding Surrey Police Board accountable? Why they are not giving the information?
Well, I'd like to first of all point out that crime in Surrey is actually down, and I'm not sure if it's down because people aren't reporting or if indeed it's down. Surrey, although it has the reputation of having a lot of issues around public safety, when you look at public safety through the Metro Vancouver area, crime in Surrey is not as bad as Vancouver, Langley, Abbotsford, and Chilliwack. But we have that reputation, and we have not done much to change it.
But why do we have this reputation? And when we are saying the crime, that is a generalized, category or the statement to say crime, which can be, we have a very serious crime. How many extortion reports have been made from the Vancouver if we compare with the Surrey, and how many shootings incident has been happened in the last 2 or 3 months as compared to Vancouver? Why? I mean, I haven't seen even a single sentence from your mouth where you are saying that we have to hold Surrey Police or Surrey Police Board accountable.
So on the extortion issue, and that's one area of crime, it is a huge problem in Surrey. It's not a problem in Vancouver. It's a problem in other cities like Calgary and Edmonton and Winnipeg and Brampton, and to a lesser degree in other ones. But it's a national problem, and it's a very complex problem. And it starts with, first of all, people reporting. If people don't report, the police can do nothing. And I hear from many people about people paying the extortion fees.
Because they're scared. Police is not doing anything. That's why they're paying.
Well, if you don't report, police can't do anything.
There was a public forum.
The public forum was more of a political statement. There wasn't a lot of things that happened there. You had a lot of politicians speaking. At the end of the day, we need to be looking for action items, not just grandstanding
Statements.
politically.
Thank you, Linda. I want to change the subject a little bit. Policing is a serious issue. I'm glad to hear you say we need more police, and more police the Surrey taxpayers are going to have to pay for, because we pay for 800 now, and we need far more, as you said. But that's a different conversation. What I want to talk about now is public transit, infrastructure. So what kind of proposals do you bring to the table about improving public transit? Because we are a traffic gridlock.
I couldn't agree more with you. I'm thinking yesterday when I was driving from South Surrey to city centre, over an hour, totally unacceptable. One of the things that I would like to see is getting light rail into Surrey, much like they have in Calgary or Portland. It will get cars off the street. It will connect our city centres. Surrey doesn't have enough public transit. It never has. We've been shortchanged for a long while. And part of that is because we've grown so quickly, but we need to have a much louder voice, and we need to get the infrastructure in place so that we can move transportation around city centre much better.
Linda, as you know, public transit plan has to go before a metro board, right? And that metro board changed their plan according to city's requests to no LRT and go for a SkyTrain. And the next stage has another SkyTrain study in there. So, how long do you think it will take us in years to get LRT back before the board and then actually operating in Surrey?
And I think there has been study done for the King George Highway for the LRT as well, right?
Yes, very good
Yes.
study.
The money has been already spent.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things I would say to that. SkyTrain, absolutely, it's great for the region. It moves people through Surrey. It doesn't bring people to Surrey. Until this is completed, we have just a couple of stations here, which is unacceptable. Places like Burnaby and Coquitlam that aren't nearly our size don't have that. They've got way more stations. We need to get the Mayor's Council to change priorities and go back to LRT. It's what we need here to connect communities. It's what we need here to help drive our economy and get people safe for Newton going to South Surrey and the like. Where I live right now, if I was to try to use public transit, and I'm pretty fortunate because it's closer to me than it is for a lot, I have to walk almost 3 kilometers.
Linda, I'm a great fan of rail, light rail, all of that. But moving the Metro Board is like moving a juggernaut because they don't operate on annual plans. They have 10-year, 20-year, 30-year, 40-year plans. So my big concern now is how long will that take? So what about other infrastructure for Surrey? What are your thoughts about Newton specifically?
Newton needs a lot of help, and I keep thinking about the Newton Recreation Facility that just seems to keep moving across the street. And it was announced under Mayor McCallum. It was moved across the street under Mayor Locke, and we're nowhere. What we really need to be focusing on is not things like the current mayor is proposing, the 10,000-seat arena. What we need to be doing is building more pools, rinks, and the like for the residents of Surrey. When I'm talking to parents and I hear their kids are on waiting lists for swim classes, or they have to go to private ice, or they have to go to another jurisdiction to learn to skate, it's not acceptable. And the same like with a lot of our playing fields, we need to be getting down to basics and building those sorts of things.
So, Linda, have you changed your mind about the 10,000 person stadium? Because I believe that vote was unanimous.
The vote was unanimous to explore the opportunity of having it. The more I've learned about that, I realize that is not the right thing to do for a couple of reasons. First of all, in our budget over the next 5 years, we have $4 million only to fund it. And if you look at the cost of the Newton Rec Center, which is around $300 million, it's easy to say this is going to cost twice that. So if we're going to spend $600 million on an arena that doesn't have a tenant and we don't have budget in place, why wouldn't we be looking at taking that money and spreading it around and building things more that are helpful to families in Surrey?
As you know, Surrey is going to be the largest city. We're on the brink right now. Right now, Vancouver is. And when I look at the facilities in Vancouver, when I look at even Abbotsford has a better facility than Surrey has for having events, concerts and things, venues. So when is Surrey, like in your plan, what is Surrey going to do to develop an entertainment center or a venue where we can hold events so we're not sitting in gridlock to go to Abbotsford or Vancouver or Burnaby? And how can we be the largest city without some of those facilities?
Well, we have the Cloverdale Fairgrounds, which is very underutilized. And what I would like to see there is a hotel go there, something also along the idea of the TradeX that Abbotsford has. So we have some convention space. If people are wanting to hold even business meetings here or small conventions, there's no place to go. And we've got all that land there. And I'd love to see the Cloverdale Fairgrounds become a entertainment and recreation hub for the city. We've got lots of land there, and I think that would be a good use for it.
Thank you for that. The one other question I have for you, Linda, goes back to building a team. You're going to be announcing a team soon. We can guesstimate to some of those people who will be on your team. What's going to drive you, the guiding factors for your selection of the team you are building to represent Surrey?
I want people with great ideas. I want people that are innovators. I want people that are representative of who Surrey is, but I want people that can move the needle. One of the things that I'm wanting to do is get every councillor that, and whether they're elected with me or they're from the other team, engaged with things much like a mandate letter that you would get from the provincial government. So I would love to have one councillor, say for an example, that's responsible for the economic development piece, another responsible for transportation, so that we're working together as a team. We all have responsibilities and we'll all be put to work.
You've actually nudged me into asking you the question. Do you believe Surrey has grown so big, both in population and our geography is big anyway, that it's time for Surrey to have a ward system?
I think it's something we need to be looking at. It's come up before council a couple of times and it's not been passed. Came through as a notice of motion this last term and the mayor didn't support it, so it didn't move forward. I should say the mayor and her team. I think we need to be looking at that. I think we need to be looking at, do we have enough councillors? 8 councillors in Surrey versus 12 in Vancouver. It's something we certainly need to be looking at. Do we have enough representation?
I think that is really a need of an hour to go for. So many people are saying we should adopt the ward system. There's going to be more accountability as far as the council's work is concerned. As Ginny asked you about, she said we only can guess, who is going to be in your team. You refer about the diversity of our city, and there's going to be a balance, maybe gender balance and diversity balance, and all that stuff you're gonna keep in mind. But over so this question is very interesting for you as well, and maybe Brenda Locke is listening, and maybe Doug McCallum is listening as well. Over the past few terms, it has been observed that whenever, and I don't want to, act like a racist kind of a person, but over the past few terms, what has been observed, but whenever there is a Caucasian mayor has been elected, we have seen consistently that there has been a Indo-Canadian origin person into their close circles, in their coterie. Directly or indirectly, some called it backroom boys, some called it something else. This has been a topic of conversation among the community. Will you continue that practice?
Well, I think first and foremost, councillors, that we need to have the councillors that are the brightest and the best. And ethnicity doesn't come into that play, but we need to make sure that we're representative of who we are. In terms of who I would surround me with in my inner circle, it would be my 8 councillors.
So there's not going to be any other person directly or indirectly into your coterie or in your group who is going to influence the policies or the some kind of alleged favoritism.
There will be no favoritism. To me, what's really important that everybody is treated openly and fairly, and that we have a very transparent process, which is one of the reasons why I've been advocating to have things like an auditor general, somebody that can scrutinize the way we do business at City Hall.
So my last question to you before we're going to take our honorable mayor, on the call. As you stated that since nothing has been changed in Surrey for the last 3 years or this term, what would you have done differently if you were mayor now?
Well, I think what Mayor Locke should have done was when the province offered the $250 million to help keep the city whole financially, she should have took it.
Mm-hmm.
But in reflection, I think what should have happened back in 2018, and I've been calling for this, we should have done a referendum. Yes, it would have cost us a bit of money, but we've wasted so much more money and things have been so stalled. Mm-hmm. Whether you were supporting the RCMP or supporting Surrey Police Service, it didn't matter. We were all singularly focused on that, and had we had a referendum, we could have put it to bed back in 2018.
That was the only thing which you think she should have done, or there is something else? As you said, nothing has been changed in 3 years.
Well, I think just, the police transition, we've been singularly focused on that.
So is that going to be one of the main issue in your upcoming elections, the main agenda?
The police transition is behind us, I hope now. Mm-hmm. It's been dragging on for 7 years now. there's many things I would change, and a couple of things that I would love to do, and it's I think kind of a unique idea, but to bring in former mayors as sort of an advisory council. Yes, we may differ on a lot of opinions, but there's lots of years of expertise there, and I think we could all learn from everyone.
All right. Is there anything else, Ginny?
No, I want to thank Linda for coming in and answering our questions today. And I admire anybody who puts their name forward to run for political office, both municipal and at all the other levels. And I wish you the very best.
Thank you so much, and thank you for
We
having me.
wish you all the very best, and thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else you want to say in closing for 1 minute?
Well, I think that, I've got lots to bring forward in the next coming months, and I will be looking forward to meeting with the residents of Surrey and learning more.
All right. Thank you so much.